Hey, what's up? Welcome to my 163rd episode from Aspie Attitude. My name is David, I'm from Melbourne, Australia, have a speech difficulty, have autism, and as it happens, I have Asperger's syndrome, and that's why I'll call myself an Aspie. And before I get into this video content, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do so to deepen my support for this Autistic YouTube blog video. And also, if you'd like to keep up to date for more of my future releases from Aspie Attitude, please don't forget to ring the notification bell to keep up to date with Aspie Attitude. And also, it's going to be a very much help if you wouldn't mind liking and sharing this video content with your friends, with your family, with your autistic community, and also through Twitter and through other autistic forums such as Autism forums or wrongplan.net. And also, the more you like it, it probably should help the algorithm just to get my ideas or movie ideas across, which is what this video is going to be about. And before I get to the point, I just wouldn't mind bringing up episode 148 when I did talk about this before. So, like, why should Sia apologise for her ableist movie as being critically acclaimed? So, like, what movie did Sia make? And I'm talking about an Australian pop star from Adelaide made this movie called Music. Because what happens in this movie is it's about this fictional, non-verbal, autistic character. So this autistic lead role was played by a neurotypical called Maddie Ziegler. So, like, as soon as she released the trailer, it just happens that the majority of the autism community took a lot of offence that the autistic role wasn't played by an autistic actress. And in response to it, Sia did actually send this nasty tweet, as I've explained all the way back in episode 148, and also did this in episode 149. And now that we're into February 2021 at a time that I'm making this video, so there's going to be just too many autistic YouTube vlogs that's going to be ranting on about, like, how bad and how tasteless this movie is. So, like, I've already just put in my 2 cents. So, like, I've just decided to ignore this movie, and I might as well just save my money to see the next Jurassic Park or Jurassic World movie called Dominion instead. Well, since now I've finished the point, and the point of this video is now that I'm talking about any fictional autistic roles, any lead roles, I'm actually going to stick to my belief that it should be played by an actor or an actress on the autism spectrum. So, like, there's always a limitless amount of ideas, so I just want to make this video so it'll probably even give me a chance to tell a bit of a short story about some things that I've been wanting to do pretty much in the last more than 2.5 years that I've been YouTubing. So, like, the reason why I'd like you to like and share this video is because, like, I just thought I may have some cool movies about autism, as long as on one condition, that the autistic role must be played by an actor or an actress on the autism spectrum. So, like, I thought, together as an autistic community, we could just start posting up ideas for movies, because I am not a movie director, I'm not a movie producer, and I'm not much of a script writer. I'm just a regular autistic YouTube creator making video blogs. So I just, like, thought I wouldn't mind just sharing at least a small handful of ideas, and maybe other autistic YouTube creators can do the same if you watch carefully and listen carefully to this video. Yeah, just as I just sort of move away from this couch, yeah, and just see on the other side from Aspie with Attitude. Now, I am very excited to announce my first film concept of how to make a good autistic movie about autism. So like the first principle is called Naughty Boy. He is autistic, had no excuse for his crimes, locked up in a world of ablism. And this is the point of a movie that hasn't been made yet. So like, the reason why I suggest making this movie is just an idea of a thriller, a spine-chilling drama about an autistic character who is locked up in prison, serving time for his crime. The reason why I like the idea about the prison theme is I just find there's a very scary and a very awful place to be, especially if you're on the autism spectrum. And it's all about an autistic character dealing with other inmates who are absolute ableists, and maybe the staff or the prison staff and the wardens could be, and the guards could be ableist too. And I'm talking about, if this movie was real, you know you'll be hearing a lot of that R word. So like, even all the swear words we know could be incorporated in this movie, which is likely to be rated MA. So like, I have a feeling this movie can only work with the sensory challenges that the autistic actor has, only if this particular autistic actor gets a role to play as an inmate, which is going to be, would be the leading role to this movie. Because this film won't work if a neurotypical actor takes on the role as an autistic prisoner or an autistic inmate. The necessary of use of any ableist terms like the R words that I mentioned is supposed to make prison a very scary place for somebody who's autistic, and it's just to demonstrate that being locked up in prison is no place for a person who's on the autism spectrum, and this could also teach a lot of people on the autism spectrum to always obey the law so they don't end up like this autistic character. All this movie needs is a great script, a great storyline, and the plot should successfully run its own course. And I'm talking about making another great movie just like Shawshank Redemption, or if you've seen the series called Prison Break, or even Escape from Alcatraz starring Clint Eastwood. And for the beginning of the movie, it just needs to start at the beginning of this autistic character's sentence. And you can always explore his life before his sentence in a series of flashbacks. Maybe we can use some scenes where he's locked up in solitary confinement, and it just gives it a chance just to sort of like have a bit of an intermission, how he's lived a happy, colourful life that he doesn't have anymore. And the film just needs to end at the time the autistic inmate finishes his sentence, and we could always keep the plot open. And the purpose of this movie, Naughty Boy, this is all about an autistic character ending up in jail or ending up in prison for whatever crime he committed. For my second movie principle or movie concept, which is called The Strange Quirky Fellow. Had anyone back in the Old West heard about a cowboy who's autistic? As it happens, modern times like being seen in schools or in family homes are often too staple and too cliche for a lot of films about autism. So why not make a film about autism to be set in the old Wild West? And this could revive the John Wayne style of Western, or perhaps just be a type of spaghetti Western. It would depend on the autistic actor to build a great autistic cowboy just to make this old Western film about an autistic cowboy work. Are there any autistic actors who's obsessed with John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, and all the old nostalgic classic old Western movies? Perhaps individuals on the autism spectrum would have animal connections, especially with horses, to make this Wild Western movie work. That's why I suggested a Western movie that features the lead role of an autistic cowboy. Can the autistic cowboy be a bounty hunter or an outlaw? As it happens, I prefer him to be a bounty hunter, and it would be cool to see a gun-singing autistic cowboy to take out all the bad guys and to bring peace in the old Wild West. This film needs a rich storyline and a nicely written script, allowing the plot to run smoothly. Using the idea of animal connections towards horses would be the main element to make this film possible, and to make it possible for us to see a movie about an autistic cowboy. And maybe Temple Grandin could make a cameo appearance as herself to represent the Old West and the autistic cowboy, which I suggest to call this one the Strange Quirky Fellow. So, had anyone back in the Old West heard about a cowboy who's autistic? Now, I'm finally just happy to actually show you my third movie concept, my third movie principle, which I call this one Paradise Island. Away from everyone in his own paradise, on the autism spectrum, alone, on this island, all happy, living his own way of life. So like what I'm just actually thinking here, the reasons why I reckon this would make a great film about autism is to demonstrate how this autistic lead role and that autistic character who plays a role as an only inhabitant on this island, and I'm talking about he's like a hermit. And the purpose of this is just to show how that autistic individuals could just live an independent life. And I'm talking about for his independent life, he just relies on his routines to be able to survive alone on this remote island. He would most likely resist change, which I reckon is going to be very important to this film. And it's all about staying with his routines and how his repeated behaviour helps him to live alone and survive alone on this remote island. And here comes the plot twist. Like, I don't want this to become a very boring movie. To make this movie more interesting, I could imagine, what if some neurotypical castaways becomes shipwrecked on this remote island where this autistic character is living? So this is just to make the film interesting, is how those castaways begin to annoy the autistic inhabitant who's known to found happiness in life being a hermit. And what the neurotypical castaways could actually be doing is, imagine them just always constantly staying in his shadows, getting in his way, disrupting his routines, and putting him on a array of meltdown triggers. So, anyway, I will get pissed off if a neurotypical actor takes this autistic role as a only inhabitant on this remote island. And to make this film possible, this would need a strong storyline and engaging plot to make this film possible. This film would depend on location, because I'm thinking it needs to be set on a very small island, and I wouldn't mind having a spring running through it, so there's fresh water for the autistic character to grow his own food. Maybe there could be a sturdy hut or even a cave where the autistic role or autistic character could be staying in. And there's always broad ideas on how to write a good script, just to make it more of a thriller. Because the reason why I suggest these neurotypical castaways get away is to make the film a lot more interesting, just to see how the autistic character can deal with the changes and the annoyance from neurotypical driven society. So obviously he'd be alone on this island to be far away from neurotypical driven society. So anyway, it's time to return to the couch, and I just want to finish off this video from Aspie with Attitude. I just hope you really like my ideas that I come up for some films. Well, it just happens if it's a good idea and it's worth actually making a script, and it could be a good director and good actors, as well as the fact that on one condition, that all autistic roles must be played by actors and actresses who are truly on the autism spectrum. And like I say, I just can't wait to see this movie, and I just hope it's not going to be a Netflix release. So like I just never tend to sort of make videos go on for too long then. So I just hope you really like my idea. And I just always going to finish off with a fidget spin nose trick. Especially those who just don't watch any of my videos. Well, this is all 2017 technology in the start of 2021. And this is what I exactly like to do is... So, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to Aspie Attitude. Peace and respect. And see you next time.